India and the members of the Quadrilateral Security Dialogue, also known as the Quad, on Monday took aim at China in their joint statement, defending the rights of the Philippines in the South China Sea dispute, as well as opposing any unilateral actions to change the status quo by force or coercion. Hello and welcome to The Print. In this episode of Instant Analysis, I will be looking at the significant takeaways from the Quad foreign ministers meeting in Tokyo. In their joint statement, the four ministers raised their concerns about the situation in the East and South China Seas and opposed any unilateral actions to change the status quo, as well as the militarization of the region. While the statement did not directly name Beijing, the actions detailed in their statement mirror the actions seen in the South China Sea in recent months, which has seen a series of confrontations between the Philippines and China, which seriously injured one Filipino sailor in June. The strong statement on respecting the United Nations Convention on the Law of the Sea, or UN clause, and the July 2016 arbitral award in favor of the Philippines, with India's approval, comes as New Delhi and Manila have in recent years seen a convergence of interests in the Indo-Pacific and border issues with China. The Russia-Ukraine war, situation in Myanmar, and the Israel-Hamas conflict and China's aggressive actions in the East China Sea as well, all figured in the discussions held between Indian External Affairs Minister S. Jaishankar, the Japanese Foreign Minister Yoko Kamikawa, US Secretary of State Antony J. Blinken, and Australian Foreign Minister Penny Wong, which was held in Tokyo. The message from External Affairs Minister Jaishankar was clear. The Quad, which consists of democratic countries and market economies, are a force of good for the world and a powerful stabilizing factor in a volatile world. His message was one of that the Quad being a stable alternative for the countries in the region facing challenging geopolitical situations. Enhancing maritime domain awareness for Pacific Island countries, space cooperation and pilot projects with countries across the Indo-Pacific, deploying open radio access networks in countries like Palau, humanitarian assistance and disaster relief, and even cooperation on undersea cable connectivity. All areas of action by the Quad, indicating its role as an alternative to China in the region. The slate of activities, especially for cooperation with ASEAN and Pacific Island countries, is an indication of how Japan, Australia, India, and the US look to increase their footprint across the region. Winning over countries in ASEAN and the Pacific Island nations has also been a part of China's strategic approach to the region. Beijing has lent close to $15 billion to countries in the Oceania region, with Papua New Guinea and Marshall Islands being some of the biggest beneficiaries, receiving about $12 billion in aid between the two countries alone from China, according to aid data. This brings into context the growing areas of cooperation between the Quad countries and third countries in the region, a sort of democratic alternative ensuring a free and open Indo-Pacific, free from coercion and domination by any single country. The conflict in Gaza also finds mention in the joint statement between the four foreign ministers for the first time. The four countries condemned Hamas's attacks on 7th October 2023, calling them terror attacks and reiterating their support for the two-state solution between Israel and Palestine. In the Russia-Ukraine war, the Quad ministers agreed to push for a just and lasting peace to the conflict. Jaishankar, in a separate press conference later in the day, added that India's endeavor is to do more for bringing Moscow and Kiev to the negotiating table from the battlefield, further indicating the tightrope New Delhi has to play in balancing ties between Russia and the West. India has been facing backlash from the US and its allies over the timing of Prime Minister Narendra Modi's visit to the US, and Mr. Modi is likely to visit Kiev later in August for his first bilateral visit to the country. Thank you for tuning into this episode of the Instant Analysis. Do subscribe below to The Print for more such news and analyses.